Good afternoon, folks out in YouTube land. This is Chuck. Coming to you today from my garage slash shop slash man cave. Rather much of a mess, so I don't really want to show you around too much. But today, I think I want to talk a little bit about how I beat diabetes. I've had some health issues. I'm 73, and like most people my age, I've had some health issues. And one of the big ones that kind of threw me for a loop for a little while was I was told that I was a diabetic. And let me back up and tell you a little bit about how that came to be. 3 years ago, I started just not feeling well. I was sore all the time. My joints ached. I didn't have any energy. I didn't want to do anything. And it came on kind of gradually. I had a little bit of weight on me. I didn't look real bad because I'm kind of a big frame guy, but I had a belly, and the biggest thing was I just didn't want to do anything. I've been active my whole life, and I didn't want to be a couch potato. It just really, really bothered me. It got to the point where in 2019, my old truck broke down, and it was going to have some motor work on it. And I didn't even have the energy to want to do it. And I ended up parking it. And I parked it for almost a year, and basically parked it alongside the driveway and used it as a storage unit. I almost sold it. But of course, you can't sell a vehicle that's not running, get any money out of it. So I kind of kept it. And so basically what happened is toward the fall of 2019, it finally got so bad that I thought I had something wrong with me. I thought maybe I had cancer or something, because I just didn't want to do anything. I had no initiative. I had no energy. I had to force myself to walk the dog. And that's not me. That's not the way I've been my whole life. So I finally broke down and made an appointment with the doctor. And my doctor did a bunch of lab work. And when she called me back for the lab work, I went in there and she told me, well, we got the results back, and I think I know what the problem is. And the problem is you're a diabetic. And I said, no, I'm not. And she says, yes, you are. Based on your lab work, based on the definition, you are diabetic. And she wanted to put me on metformin. Well, I'm a retired firefighter medical guy, and I knew a little bit about diabetes, and I knew a little bit about what happens once you start on diabetic medications. And so I didn't want to deal with that. I told her, well, I think what I want to do is I want to try to handle it with diet. So, bless her heart, she kind of rolled her eyes a little bit, and she said, okay, you can try that. And, and if it doesn't work, then, you can always come back. So that was a turning point for me. I went ahead and I started doing my due diligence. I started doing research, all research I could on diabetes and diet and and what you can do to correct it. And in the process of doing that, I found a YouTube channel for Dr. Ken M. Berry, MD, out of Texas. And if you haven't seen Dr. Berry's channel, go take a look at it and check it out. There were two things that resonated with me about him. Number one was he had the same problem I did, and he figured out a way to solve it. The second one is he said, before you go any further, he just don't listen to anything the American Diabetes Association tells you, because they are funded primarily by the drug companies. Well, that made sense to me. So basically what he suggested diet change. He said the problem is in the gut. And so basically what he had done is he had gone on a carnivore diet. He had also gone into intermittent fasting. Now, the carnivore diet is kind of like a super keto diet, and basically you end up eating meat. You can eat dairy, you can have cheese and anything non-sugar, but what you need to get away from is you need to get away from the processed foods, and you need to get away from the carbs, and you need to get away from the sugar. Well, I had pretty well backed off on all the sugar stuff. I wasn't a big guy for sweets. I ate a little bit too much ice cream probably, but I wasn't a big guy for sweets. I'm not a drinker, so alcohol was not an issue with me. That's why I didn't think I could possibly be having high blood sugar. Doctor suggested I start checking my blood sugar every morning when I get up before I eat anything. And so I started doing that, and I do it to this day. So anyway, after doing my due diligence, I decided to go on to the carnivore diet and see how that worked. What happened there, interestingly enough, it was, number one, it was exactly what Dr. Berry said would happen. And if he ever watches this video, please accept my undying gratitude, because I believed you saved my health and you may have saved my life. So basically what happened, the results were, and I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical person. Please don't take whatever I say today as medical advice. Do what your doctor tells you, unless you don't want to. And I was a firefighter medical guy for over 30 years, and I know a little bit about that kind of stuff. But that doesn't make me a medical professional, especially now that I'm retired. But what happened is, and the very first thing I noticed is after about 3 days into it, all of a sudden it was like a veil lifted and my mental clarity improved drastically. It was like coming out of a fog. Now, Dr. Berry said that would happen, but I didn't anticipate it would be that radical. It was absolutely amazing. It was like I was opening my eyes for the first time in months and months. And I was mentally sharper. It was great. That was the very first thing I noticed. The second thing I noticed is after a few days, is I started getting my energy back. Now, I didn't do this to lose weight, but I started losing weight very, very rapidly. The first month, I lost 8 pounds. My energy level was up. I felt better. My blood sugar really wasn't going down like I thought it would. But then again, once again, Dr. Berry had said that you won't notice that right away. And the reason for that is that you're burning off the accumulated deposits of stuff that you've got in your body. And a lot of that has a lot of sugar in it. So it'll keep your blood sugar artificially high. Okay, so that was the first thing I noticed. I started losing weight. My energy came back pretty rapidly, actually, within a couple weeks. My mental clarity was just absolute. That was amazing. I hadn't felt that great in years. So this is a good time to kind of talk a little bit about what actually happens to your body with processed food. Your body cannot, a lot of the stuff that's in our modern American diet, a lot of that stuff we cannot metabolize readily. And so what happens is our body builds little cubby holes to store it. It's like a bunch of little cardboard boxes to store it. And those little cubby holes are fat cells. When you drink a lot of diet soda, and that's one thing that I was addicted to. I was addicted to Diet Coke. And one of the things that happens is you cannot metabolize the stuff that's in there, the artificial sweetener and stuff. You can't metabolize it fast enough. The phosphoric acid that's in cola drinks, you can't metabolize it fast enough. So what your body does is it builds little storage boxes to store it. And those little storage boxes are fat cells. That's why people, I was one of them that, I drank a lot of diet soda, and if it has 0 calories, how in the heck does it make me fat? Well, it did. So I quit that, of course. I quit, I love bread, and I quit bread. You can see the dog in the background. He's out here with me. So I quit bread. I quit anything with carbohydrates. Bread was hard for me. But I just started eating meat. For veggies, I drink V8 juice. It's not too bad. A little bit of cottage cheese, that kind of thing. So anyway, these it takes a while for your body to start metabolizing that stuff. So what ends up happening is if you keep eating more of it, your body can never metabolize it. And when it can't metabolize it, it has to continue building new boxes to store it in. And those boxes are fat cells. And as a result, you put on fat everywhere. So finally, I started losing weight drastically. I was feeling better. And my blood pressure, I'd been on blood pressure medication, I'd been on cholesterol medication, and I was monitoring my blood pressure every day, as well as my blood sugar every day, as well as weighing myself every day. And I noticed that my blood pressure had gone down. Well, when it went down a little bit, and I realized that maybe I don't need blood pressure medication because it kind of made me feel lethargic. And that was part of the issue. So I just stopped taking my blood pressure medicine, and my blood pressure stayed stable, and I felt better. Then I thought, well, maybe the same thing holds true to cholesterol meds, so I stopped taking those as well. Within a pretty short period of time, I noticed I didn't hurt. I didn't ache. I'd get up in the morning, every joint in my body would ache. I'd go out and try to do something, and it's just something simple like change the oil on one of my vehicles or something. And good grief, it would take me all day, and I'd be exhausted, and I'd be sore, and getting up and down off the creeper to go underneath the vehicle was difficult. So I started feeling I had better energy. I started feeling my joints didn't ache anymore. And all in all, within a month, I felt like a different person. Well, I continued on that route, and within less than a year, I had gone down 70 pounds. I was like a new person. I had the energy back that I hadn't had for years. And I was off my medications. Can I say that would help, that would work with you too? No, I can't really say that because it might not work with you. But I can tell you that it worked with me. When I went back to my doctor months later, she was astounded. She was absolutely amazed that, and she came right out and told me, based on the lab work, you are not a diabetic anymore. Right? Well, now we're 3 years down the road. And let me tell you a little bit about the change. When the COVID came along in March of 2020, and we all remember how bad 2020 was, well, when COVID came along in March of 2020, I was looking for a pandemic project. I had enough energy that I brought my old truck up to the front of my garage, and I dropped the transmission, I pulled the engine, I fixed everything that was wrong with it, and I did it all by myself. The only thing I ended up having any help with was lifting the hood off and putting the hood back on because it was awkward. So I had the neighbor come over and help me. Other than that, I pulled the engine out, I put it on a stand, I tore it all down. I fixed the problem that it had, which was a head gasket issue. I had sent the heads out, had them done, assembled the whole thing. One thing with my old truck is, it's a 30-year-old truck and it leaked everything. So I just methodically went through it and changed all the seals, changed all the gaskets, took care of all the leaks. I didn't want to park it on my concrete driveway because I didn't want it to oil spot my driveway everywhere. Well, now that's where it's sitting right now. It's sitting out in front of my garage door on my concrete driveway, and it doesn't leak a drop. So I did all that. It took me a few weeks, and I'd work on it when I felt like it, and a couple times I had to wait for parts. But I put quite a bit of time and effort and parts and stuff in it, and I did a couple of things to it to wake it up a little bit and give it a little more power and make it a little more fun to drive. And it's my hot rod now, and it's also my shop truck, and it's also my go to the dump truck, so I don't have to haul garbage to the dump in my new truck. And it does all those things. It's my daily driver for the most part. But I did that all by myself through the summer of 2020. Before that, I would have not had energy enough to do that. So now fast forward up to now, okay, it's late October of 2022. I work in the yard. I'm active every day. I look forward to getting up. I look forward to taking the dog out. I look forward to going camping and traveling. and I'm still on the diet. I'm still doing the intermittent fasting. I actually dropped 70 pounds at one point. I got down and I started out, I was 230, and I actually got down into the high 150s at one point, but I didn't think I looked good. I thought I was starting to look too gaunt and too, I didn't look healthy. Some people that knew me thought I had cancer or something because they thought I looked terrible. So I did back off a little bit on what I ate. What I eat now is I eat 2 meals a day. I intermittent fast. I only eat during an 8-hour window during the day, and that 8 hours is from 10 in the morning until 6 at night. I generally eat 2 meals a day. I eat around 10, and what I eat around 10 usually is my normal lunch is 2 hamburger patties off the grill with some cottage cheese and one of those little 5.5-ounce cans of V8 juice. That's how I get my veggies. On the diet, you don't feel hungry because what makes you feel hungry is the desire for carbohydrates. What ended up happening is that most of us, and I'm kind of out of order here, I may have to reshoot this, but most of us are addicted to sugar. And virtually every processed food you buy is full of sugar. And it's full of chemicals and preservatives and all other stuff like that that's foreign to our bodies. Sugar is a drug. And one of the things that makes you hungry is your body wants more sugar. That's why you want a donut or a candy bar or some whatever it is during the middle of the day. Carbohydrates are nothing but sugar. So to break that addiction is pretty difficult. Some people have a hard time doing it. I've got some friends that have tried this diet and they've been on it 2 or 3 times and they fell off the wagon. And part of the reason was because they of the food they want to eat. Another issue is alcohol. I've never been a drinker during my whole life, which has been a blessing for me. So I haven't had to deal with that part of it. That wasn't a big issue. But some people it is. They like their beer and they have a difficult time doing without it. Well, it's nothing but calories, folks. It's nothing but sugar. So you drop the sugar, you drop all the stuff that becomes sugar, potatoes, grains, that type of thing. It all converts to sugar. And you go on to I went on carnivore, and people say, well, you don't get enough, you don't get enough of the vitamins and you need veggies and all that kind of stuff. Well, you can still eat some of the veggies. Some veggies are too high in sugar content, but you can have things like lettuce and you can have things like cucumbers and stuff like that. And so I ate a little bit of that kind of stuff. Well, where I'm at now is I already told you that I have 2 hamburger patties, some cottage cheese, and a little can of V8 juice. And that's what I generally have for lunch around 10 o'clock. And then for dinner now, for a long time I was eating like ribeyes or more hamburger patties or bacon. And you want the fat because you need the fat in your system. So you don't have to eat low-fat stuff. That's a myth. But anyway, now I've kind of backed off a little bit, and I kind of eat whatever my wife makes, and so I'm not as strict on the diet as I used to be. I'm at about 170 pounds now, and I figure about 170, 175 is about a good weight for me. I look good, I feel good. Like I say, I have the energy. I can stand up, I can be on my feet all day if I need to be. And it's just something that has worked for me. Interesting sidebar to that is you hear people talk, and I investigated this as well, and that was talking about going on the vegan diet. And a lot of people report the same results if they go on a vegan diet. So that the issue isn't as much of what you eat as it's what you don't eat. Because if you go on a vegan diet, you also get away from the processed food. The processed food is the enemy. The sugar is the enemy. So if you get rid of that, you have a lot of the same results. Weight loss, increased energy, not having to be on all the medications that you're on. I still have a totally unrelated medical issue. I'll make a video about that one of these days because it's a little bit unusual. But basically, where I'm at now is I feel good. Uh, my blood pressure's stable. I went to the doctor this morning and it was 130/80, and that's for somebody my age. That's not too bad. My heart rate is low because I'm fairly active. I get down and work in the yard. I just can't sit around. I think probably when I was younger, I was ADHD, but they didn't know about that when I was a kid. I was just a hyper little kid, and I was kind of a hyper adult, and which kind of in my line of work, it kind of worked out well. It kind of lends itself to people with that type of personality. But anyway, that's kind of my diabetes story. And I think, people say that you can't beat diabetes. Yes, you can. But the problem is when they start putting you on diabetic drugs, what they're trying to do is they're trying to control your blood sugar. They're treating the symptoms. They are not treating the root cause. And so once you go back and you address the root cause and stop treating the symptoms, well, then you can actually, it is beatable. A lot of medical problems that people have, and people have a whole myriad of medical problems. I mean, I responded to medical calls for over 30 years, and I saw a pretty wide spectrum of a lot of different stuff. A lot of it, I've learned, comes back directly to your gut and what you eat. Eat as healthy a food as you possibly can. Stay away from the processed food, the junk food. I mean, and we all do it. I mean, I'm guilty as well at times, and I'll have cheat days when nothing I want to do more than have a big old cheeseburger and fries. But I don't do that every day. I'll do that once in a while. But I try to stay away from the sweets. I think, here we are in late October of 2022, and I think I've had 2 donuts this year. And they were several months apart. And one of them was to celebrate my friend Kevin's birthday. We had, instead of having birthday cake, we had donuts because we were camped up on the mountain on his birthday. But take it for what you will. Believe what you will. The biggest thing is it can be done. If I can do it, anybody can do it. But it's not easy. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's simple. I can tell you that for something in concept as simple as it is, it's very difficult to achieve it. And you have to be pretty strong. I'm a pretty strong-willed person. When I set my mind to something, I can usually stick with it. And you have to want it, and you have to want it bad enough. I know a lot of people I've talked to about this stuff, and I could never do that. Well, you got to want it bad enough. If you don't want it bad enough, it ain't going to work. And it's like a lot of things in your life. So with that, I think that's probably all I need to savor today. If you watch this, and I'm a brand new channel, I know I don't have a lot of subscribers, and I don't know that there'll be a lot of people watch this, but if you got any questions, put them in the comments, and I'll respond back to you. Here again, not saying it'll work for you, but I'm saying it worked for me. And with that, I will wish you all a good day. Be happy, be well, love each other, and we'll talk to you again.